Alright lads, so let's talk about Bleach Soul Resonance. It's a game I'm sure many of you are looking forward to, myself included, but for those that wondered where, I was actually fortunate enough to playtest the game almost a year ago. This was during the pre-alpha test, and unfortunately during that time I wasn't able to really talk about the game, nor was I able to showcase anything from the particular pre-alpha test. However, according to the Discord mods, we are able to now talk about the game and showcase it. However, before you even get to see footage, it's very important to understand that what you are about to see does not represent the final product. Remember, the footage that you are about to see comes from a pre-alpha test from almost 11-12 months ago. It's very rare, especially if you aren't a developer, to see footage this early, and when the game does release later this year, it's going to look completely different, play a lot better. So I want you guys to keep that in mind when looking at some of this stuff that we are about to dive into for today's video. So with that said, here we go, right? Finally, we can talk about it. Hopefully I don't get in trouble for this, right? If I do, remember me. Remember me. But truth be told, in regards to my opinions on Soul Resonance when I was able to play the game, all I really have to say is positive stuff. It was actually a very great experience. Was very honored to be able to play the game, and at the same time, I had a lot of fun. Was able to play for around 2 or so weeks, and what I'm going to show you lads right from the get-go is one of the coolest things to come from the playtest, which funny enough was the title screen. Now, see, when the game releases, it's not going to be the title screen. This is actually going to be an in-game cutscene for one of the bigger fights in the Bleach universe, which, as you can see here, is Segunda Etapa Okiura versus Vast Full Hollow Ichigo. Look at this. It looks absolutely insane, and this is what you can potentially come to expect with in-game cutscenes for this game. And just imagine this for some of the other bigger fights, like Ichigo versus Aizen, Yamamoto versus Yuha whenever we get into 1000 Year Blood content. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna be even excited about TLA Ichigo versus Ginjo. Unironically, the Ginjo Fullbring arc is something that I'm kind of looking forward to getting into in this game when we get to it, because that's something that any Bleach game besides Brave Souls ever gets to, right? I know Fullbring isn't like the most exciting arc, but I don't know, I like the characters, I like the power-ups, but look at this. Look at this. I have a beautiful cutscene. I'm talking about the Fullbring arc. Man, Full Hollow, for those that don't know, it's one of my favorite forms in Bleach, and to see this, it's going to be a crazy, crazy day when these two characters drop in Soul Resonance. But that's essentially all we have, right? This is a little tease. And the crazy part about this, right? I don't think this is even going to be in the game when it first releases. This is something you release for the 6-month anniversary or something. I don't know, right? But the way this game is going to work with their new character releases is release the characters alongside the story parts. So when we get to this fight and get to play with the characters in the story, we're also going to be able to summon for the characters, which is going to be a super, super fun time. But look how amazing this looks for a game that is a pre-alpha. Not even alpha, not even a beta, a pre-alpha. Now with that, we can show some other stuff here. So what you are about to see is some brief gameplay on Kisuke. So shout out to all the Kisuke fans. I was just kind of testing how this character does work. He was, after all, my first SSR, but what we can quickly do is explain some of the buttons that you are seeing here, right? So this right here, 24 out of 120, is your battlefield skill. This is obviously coming from a character like Uryu, and certain characters in this game are going to have battlefield skills. So when you are creating your team, it's important to have one character that is going to have the skill, because in a way, it's an extra effect. Now, Uryu's one isn't really the greatest. I don't think I even use it in this footage, but there are some other really cool battlefield effects, like Kaname and also Byakuya, where they activate their bank and it changes the whole map. It's really, really cool, but I don't think I have that footage for today. Now, Kisuke, I believe, is more of a support character. So I was using my normal attacks here. The bottom, there is a fan, and essentially this, you get 2 charges. It does a massive AoE attack. It allows you to do more damage, and I believe it also builds up his ultimate a lot faster. The way you activate this is by holding down his button, and that's something that you're going to see with a lot of different characters, is that even though it's a mobile game, there's actually combos that you can do. It's not just spam the button. During a certain combo, after a certain number of hits, if you hold down the button, sometimes it activates an alternative attack, which is actually really cool. This right here was basically Kisuke's ultimate, Senjo Koten Taiho. Looks cool. Looks cool. Again, Kisuke as a character was more a support character, and that was basically what I was able to record with him. I wasn't ever thinking about showing this gameplay, so I didn't really plan in advance, but next clip that I guess we have here is the banner. Now, one thing I want to mention when I was able to talk to the developers is that the focus on the playtest was game first and foremost and gacha second. That also probably expands to the actual game release, right? So the gacha aspect during the playtest wasn't really a big part. It was a secondary thought, which I think is a good thing, right? The developers themselves want to make a good game. They don't want to make a good gacha, they want to make a good game with gacha elements. In this case, though, we had access to 2 banners. We had access to the main character banner. This is where you are going to be pulling for your characters. And at the time during this playtest, there was 6 available SSRs. Bankai Ichigo, Bankai Byakuya, Bankai Kaname, Kisuke, Kenpachi, and also Bankai Ikkaku. They're just not shown in the banner. At the same time, you can also see there's like a weapon stamp banner. We'll talk about those more in a minute. Rates for an SSR was 0.6%. That could definitely change though, and you were guaranteed an SSR on your 8th multi, your 80th summon. In this case, that's what we were about to do. I had 79 out of 80. My next single was guaranteed an SSR, and I ended up getting Bankai Ichigo, right? Again, early footage. The game itself will most likely have summon animations, but I pulled Bankai Ichigo. Wasn't too happy about it because he's a free character. You can get him for free, but he ended up being my favorite character in the entire playtest, so overall I didn't really mind pulling him again. Because looking at some gameplay for Ichigo, one of the coolest parts about him, which makes him stand out compared to the rest of the characters, is that he does actually transform. In this case, his ultimate is basically using his visor mask, and it looks so cool. It looks so cool. I have some other footage here, although I don't think I do too much right. But I was kind of just testing here because I believe Kisuke was able to allow your team to do more damage. So I was kind of just testing out my character combos, trying out the damage, see what was working. And that's one cool thing about this, right, is that there is a quest where you can just test out your characters. And the team that I had set up right now was Ichigo, Kisuke as a support, and then also once more Byakuya as a support. And as you can see here, this is his battlefield skill, right? Now, I do have some extra gameplay here. This is not mine. Don't know where this came from. Not really the greatest quality, but it does give you a brief look at the actual game if we just quickly break it down. So this team right here, they're using Byakuya, they're using Kenpachi, and also Ichigo. Now, one cool thing about Byakuya is that one of his strong attacks that he does have is actually set up. As you can see, it has quite the long animation, but it's set up that you can instantly switch into your other characters. So while that animation is playing, you can switch into someone like Ichigo, for example. You can see right there, we'll let it play out in a sec. He does actually parry. Now, the indicator to parry is right here, but you can kind of see it. It's where they flash purple. When they flash purple, that's when you want to use your parry. They use it in time, it parries, and then you can like combo into an attack. In this case, they switched into Kenpachi. Kenpachi was a really cool character. I believe his ultimate is also him transforming, taking off the eye patch. So that was really cool. This event in particular, I believe, was the Ikkaku event. There was quite a few events. Obviously, Ikkaku vs. Ichigo is one of the first bigger fights in Soul Society, so that kind of made sense that it was focused on an event. Now, this attack from Kenpachi was a charge attack, which I'm not going to lie was very weird. I wasn't the biggest fan of Kenpachi during the test. I think that was more of a skill issue. I didn't really get too much time to actually play with him. But Byakuya was a really cool character, especially if he does activate his Bankai. The charge attack on Kenpachi was kind of like the awkward part. But here we go. The eye patch came off. And then he does a little slash. Damage 2, right? And of course, when that happens, the character just goes insane. He's doing more combos. His attacks become flashier. We got another parry. And then when you do attack after inflicting a parry, your combo changes. So even though it is a mobile game, right? Depending on the action you take, depends on the attacks that you do. If you attack after a parry, you do a different attack. So yeah, really cool combos going on. In this case, I believe this quest was, again, a ranking event. Seeing how fast you can clear the Ikkaku quest. The Ikkaku boss fight. And yeah, Byakuya too. Let me rewind that. Really, really cool effect. One of this right here, this attack right here was so cool. Like, he's a really cool character. Like, he does a bunch of attacks and then flash steps away and then just like so satisfying, that attack right there. It was insane. He was a very smooth character, Byakuya. Actually, it looks like we finally get to show some Byakuya Bankai gameplay, because look at this. It's insane. So he activates his Bankai, and now look at the map. Like, how insane is this? He's flying around with his Senbon Sakura Pearls, and then you can also, like, just walk around him, keep your distance, and also attack. Like, this is absolutely insane. And this is something that a lot of other characters can do and will do in the future, right? Byakuya is one of them that can have, like, a big map-wide effect. Kaname's Bankai is one of the bigger examples. When he does activate the Bankai, you know, it blinds the opponent, right? But could you imagine how cool other Bankais are going to look? And that's basically the gameplay that we have right there. Really cool effects, right? Demonstrates Byakuya, Kenpachi, and also Ichigo all in one quest through the Ikkaku fight. Really cool gameplay right there. Now, that's all I have for the gameplay, but let's show some screenshots, right? Again, not final footage. This was Kisuke. That was when I brought him as an SSR. This one I wanted to showcase because I've actually thought it was really, really cool. So every character you have here is going to, of course, have their own weapon, right? In this case, Chad is showcasing his arm, and I thought thought it was really, really cool. There's a lot of fan service terminology in this game, but obviously they're planning ahead for the Fullbring arc, and as you can see here, they're calling Chad's powers a Fullbring. And the same is also said with someone like Orihime. So really cool stuff, right? This was a screenshot from one of the cutscenes when Ichigo first activated Shikai. This was Ichigo Shikai's art. Again, I'm pretty sure the art is going to change, but he was a really fun character. This is one of the end screens. Modules look really cool. And then you can see here some of the challenges that you are going to have to do when playing through a story quest. In this case, we needed to use Uryu. We needed to use one of Uryu's attack. And we also had to avoid getting hit by Renji's grab skill, which I will say when you eventually play the quest, that was actually super hard to dodge. That's why I didn't get it. The grab attack that he did do came super quick, and I definitely had to retry the quest a few times to actually freestyle this. Now, this right here, I think we can show a better example. This is going to be one of the end game farms, right? Most games have accessories, relics. Bleach Soul Resident is going to have weapon stamps, right? The more you upgrade your character, the more slots you do get, and it's with these stamps where you're going to get passive and extra stats. You're going to be able to get these stamps by just farming the quests. Any quest that you want to, you can farm specific ones, right? This is where you are going to spend most of your stamina at the end game, and eventually your stamps are going to look like this. Each stamp takes up a certain number of slots, and of course the larger ones are going to give more bonuses, and there are combination stamps too, so like the 2 Kisuke ones in particular don't have to be put on a Kisuke, but you're going to get extra bonuses for using these 2, likewise with the Byakuya one. If we use this as an example, the character's weapons that you are going to pull for, you're not really pulling for weapons. Besides the character that you have to pull, you're also going to want to have to pull for the weapon stamp, and the weapon stamp is very important because this gives them significantly more bonuses and passives, right? And unfortunately, I don't really have a screenshot of the passives, but you can see with this Kenpachi one, it takes up most of the spot, but it also gives you 50% more stats from all the stamps that you are using combined. So it's almost going to be important for every character to have their weapon stamp, and then with that you're getting more stats. And then we can also use this as an example. This was the Bloomin' Sakura Uproar, whereby using 2 of these in a set, we get an extra attack stat. But at the same time, each individual stamp is going to come with different bonuses. In this case, Shinigami characters, so Soripas, get 20% more no-attack damage. So just having this set is sometimes not enough. You're going to want to have the extra bonus here. In this case, this one's buffing Shinigamis, but there are others that can buff Quincy's, Fullbringers, and then with that, you're also getting the extra stats too. And of course, if you are in a situation where you don't own the character's actual stamp, you can, fill them in with some other smaller ones just to get the extra bit of stats. By the end of the playtest, this is what my Ichigo was looking like. 40,000 battle power, which I believe is one of the highest ones you could go at the time. Level 70 was the max. This was Byakuya's art. Really cool stuff. There were some ranking events. There was actually quite a few ranking events, right? This was my team at one point. This was another ranking event. And I believe the screenshots you are seeing now are basically like the last day. I was just taking screenshots of some of my characters. 40,000 battle power on Ichigo, 27k battle power on Byakuya, 32k on Kenpachi, and then 24k on Kisuke. And that's essentially all I have to really show in regards to Soul Reds, right? Again, I wasn't really ever expecting to showcase some of this stuff, so I never really, sat down, recorded, and took a lot of screenshots. But I was able to gather up some of the stuff here. But yeah, honestly, again, impressions on this game is super, super positive. It was a very fun game. And as a Bleach fan, it was just super fun to play with Bleach characters in a way that I've never had before, right? And I'm a Brave Souls player. I love Brave Souls. But both games scratch different itches. This game was definitely something that I've been wanting in a new Bleach game, especially released in the year 2024. Cutscenes look amazing. The gameplay was great, even super early on. I can only imagine how much better it's going to be when the game finally releases, hopefully sometime this year. And in general, I just overall like the whole setup for the game, right? The team of 3, constantly swapping in and out to get your attacks. Some characters are designed to always be switched in and out, Byakuya being one of them. Certain characters have battlefield skills where you can get extra effects. Every character felt unique and different. Some had really cool effects, again, like Byakuya activating his Bankai. Like, I just had over a lot of fun just trying out different characters, different teams. And then even the weapon stamp system, which is going to serve as like the relic farming for a lot of different games, gear farming, was very cool. It was unique. It was different. I liked it. And I don't think it's going to be too hard to actually collect some of these weapon stamps because I believe there are free-to-play ways to actually earn some of them. But yeah, either way, I might have rambled on long enough. Just a little teaser of Soul Resonance of the footage that I was able to gather up over a year ago. Again, once we get more information about the game, I will definitely be covering it on the channel. Hopefully, I don't get in trouble for this, but I'm pretty sure we are allowed to talk about it. But remember, as always, the footage you did see today, my opinions on the game only represent the pre-alpha, not the final products. Not the final product. The game's going to look a lot better. I'm excited for it. Hopefully that's all. If you are, make sure to subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time. Take care and peace.